Hi, I'm Cindy Crain, and I'd like to talk a bit about sexual identity and social norms. In Life Without Gender, Tyler Ford said, "I attempted to embrace the word lesbian, but it wriggled away uncomfortably. I didn't know how to embody sexuality like the girls I attempted to identify with on television." As I viewed social media outlets, it became clear that people who were not gay or lesbian or bisexual were being affiliated with these sexual identities. Many of these people were offended by being called lesbian or gay. This is evidenced by the many posts denying these sexual affiliations. In one post, a woman said, "So some, and by some, I mean mostly all of you, think I'm lesbian, like full out lesbian. So let me clear it up for you one more time." And then in all caps, "I'm not lesbian. I had a few girlfriends, but that's because some girls are hot. Still not lesbian though." Additionally, families are sometimes unhappy that their children or their other family member is gay or lesbian. There's a story about a billionaire offering $120 million to any man who can turn his lesbian daughter straight. And AskKissy.com says that Cecil Chow, the Hong Kong billionaire who made headlines in September 2012 for offering nearly $65 million to any man who could turn his lesbian daughter straight after she eloped to France with her partner to get hitched, has now upped the ante to $120 million. And comments on this post are such as, does it count if the dude is transgender? And then here's where we see the intersectionality between sexual identity and race, and that is when a gentleman says, "Hey, I would love to start a Blackanese family. Where do I sign up?" You know what they say, once they go black, ain't no coming back. And this is followed by several other folks posting and talking about the size of black men's penises and, affiliating that with, sexual satisfaction. So, and then other types of jokes such as, "LOL, dresses up as a man. The struggle is real. I need that cash." And then talking about, if a young man saying, "Yep, mess with them pockets and she will straighten it out," and straighten being in capitalized letters, straighten. So they're saying that if the father were to take away her allowance or her inheritance, that she would decide no longer to be affiliated as a lesbian. There was another article on lesbian mother asking the Supreme Court to reverse the Alabama custody ruling. And what this was about is she was looking to have visitation with her children that she had with a partner, and she's lesbian, so she's asking for obviously this custody ruling to be overturned. And one man says, "What? I had no idea lesbians, or gays for that matter, could procreate. I thought it was a form of birth control." Another man goes on to say that the real crime is that two children were deliberately deprived of a father. And then there's a couple that posts together stating, "This is why gay marriage is an abomination in the eyes of God." And then further information about, people who are saying they hate lesbians, bis, and pansexual females. Further posts more posts throughout Facebook just saying, I'm not lesbian, I'm not gay. The lesbian in Marco's drive-thru rubbed my hand while giving me my change. Oh, Lord. So there's quite a bit of animosity out there, and there's quite a bit of anger at folks for being who they are. There was a very touching post from a woman who said, I find it amazing that on a post about a friend's suicide, people want to criticize her for having a homosexual lifestyle. I assume you realize that I am lesbian and that I'm mourning the loss of a friend who was bullied and driven to suicide by anti-gay religious extremists. If you feel this way, would you please unfriend me? Especially anyone who feels like this. And then she has a quote that says, it's your choice to be my friend or not. Homosexuality is an abomination to God according to the Bible, and I do not hate you, but I would love to see you come out of LGBT sinful lifestyle. I did not kill May. She took her own life. What is not built on the true principles of God will be destroyed by it. And as a person, I love you. I pray that Jesus will set you free from this thing. It's up to you if you ignore decades of scientific research explaining why people are LGBT, or even if you believe the world is flat. You have the right to free speech and the right to stupidity, but you don't have that right in my home or on my Facebook page. And that post where she is being so open and so straightforward is followed by a post from a gentleman who has some spelling issues and says, I hate you, lesbian. I found a Campbell's Kitchen soup commercial. I think probably most of us have seen it. There are two dads, and they are feeding soup to their son. And so there's a woman who posted on this, and it says, I'm so sick of this homosexual agenda. You sell soup, not butt sex. Please take your ad down, or you will not have a company anymore. In response to this, there were some actually very interesting replies. One of them says, growing up, not seeing people that are like you on TV, in ads and magazines makes a kid feel alien or strange, like they don't belong. If you've never had that experience, you have no idea how that can affect a child. And then another person is very sarcastic and says, if you can't watch a soup commercial featuring same-sex parents without thinking about butt sex, then you might have a bigger problem than the soup company. Then there were articles about gay couples being attacked by homophobic men or other people. One of the men who was attacked recently on the 10th of November says, a car passed. They insulted us by saying homos, queers, dirty, filthy fags. He was attacked by two men, and his boyfriend was attacked by the four other men. And they were pretty badly beaten. There are pastors who have, there's one pastor who has said, I would smear feces all over myself if my son married a man. It is not a gay time, he continued. These are people with the sores, the gaping sores. The sores that are pussy and gross, and people are coming in and carving happy faces on the sores. That's not a nice thing to do. Don't you dare carve happy faces on open pussy sores. So he's referencing he's bringing to light the fact that, the AIDS patients of old had, big sores, but he's saying that, what we're doing is putting a happy face on it and making gayness be okay. And he's very much objecting to that. So there's a lot of information out on Facebook and on Twitter and everywhere on the internet that is that's inflammatory and hurtful. There was an article that we read for class that was called "The Straight Men Who Have Sex with Trans Women," and in that article, Diana Torgi stated that having sex with trans women has had no bearing on my identity as a straight male. So there's a certain lifestyle in which men may say that they are not they're not affected by having sex with someone else who is transsexual. They're saying that that it's not an issue for them, and that they're not having the type of actual relationship with a man because it's a woman. But they're at the same time they're very confused about they're saying, this isn't a woman because she hasn't had the surgery, is what they're calling it, the surgery, and talking about how it is how often they refer to transgender people is it, and it isn't a woman because it hasn't had the surgery, but it doesn't look like a man either. There was a Facebook post that referenced an article on the Huffington Post and said that, the article is proof that it's wrong to be a transgender. But the White House wants these people to get extra protection. Doesn't exactly work that way when you have 60% of the world's population against this, and the 60% needs to end this. We need to cure these people, not enable their illness. So rather than looking at transgender as another person who is this is their lifestyle, this is their life. They're saying it's a disease and it needs to be cured. And this is something that we can't continue to perpetuate. We can't allow this to continue to where there are these types of violent activities against gays and lesbians and bisexual and transgender. There's so much animosity and so much violence. And the more we continue to allow this to happen, and the more we continue to say that this type of anger and this type of just the basic wrong thinking is okay, the longer that this is going to continue. An Oregon City councilman with the last name of Garris on Facebook said he was talking about a transgender child using a restroom, and it was a boy going into a girl's restroom. And he said, if this ever happens in a school that my kids attend, I'll be first in line to issue a ass whooping both to the transgender and the administration who failed to protect our children. Wake up, America. And I do agree that America needs to wake up, but in the opposite manner in which this gentleman is saying. I agree that America needs to begin to accept people how they are, and that we need to accept that sexuality is not something that necessarily needs to be defined as strictly as we're defining it. There are a lot of folks who are unsure what their sexuality is. They're unsure what they want their sexual identity to be, mainly because of the messages and the social norms that are constantly being pressed upon them. So these are things that we need to change, and these are social advances that we need to make. Thank you.